Namaste. So today I'm going to talk about the important topic, which is the final topic in my book, Breaking Free from Karma. And this is the topic of ultimate free will or unconditional free will. There are a couple of ways of looking at it, and one is the direct personal experiential way. And another one is a philosophical and may seem a little bit more theoretical way. And I have actually covered a bit of both in my book, Breaking Free from Karma. So let me start with this direct experiential way. For this, I'm going to have to give you a couple of examples. The first example I'm going to give you is that of the sky and the clouds. Now today here in the Himalayan region where I'm staying, it's a cloudy day, and when the sky is covered from clouds, it becomes even more colder. And what happens is that I'm not able to see that sky. But the question here is, does that mean that the sky is not there? No, the sky is still there, right? So that's the same thing that happens on days when our emotions cloud us, when thoughts are kind of running and kind of whirling through in our mind. We lose touch with our own conscious nature. Our conscious nature is just there where it was. It was never changed, but we lose touch with that. And then what happens is these clouds become our reality. Right? And so now let us look at it from another example, because in case some of you don't get this example. This is a traditional example given, and I'm not inventing any of this. This is a traditional example from more other non-dual traditions, where there is a screen on which the movies are played, are projected, right? Now the movie may be a good movie or a bad movie. What I mean is a tragedy movie or a comedy movie, a romantic movie. No matter what is the nature of that movie, they get projected on the screen and then they are turned off, right? The screen remains the same. Apply this in your life. Think of the times when you were a child, or you were a teenager, or even maybe couple of years back. Maybe something bad happened in your life. Maybe something negative happened in your life. It could even be that you had something physically happen in your life, which might have left a scar or something. Now, if you look at it, has it changed you? That you who went through that experience, that you who are here now, isn't that the same you? So, if you look at it from a personal level, this I, when I see something happen in my life, when situations come in my life, I identify with that. Or even basic day-to-day, I identify myself as a sannyasin, as a monk, a teacher, or whatever. So every time something comes, some thoughts come, I identify with that, right? Or you could identify yourself as a father, son, or whatever, so that identification comes. But what's happening is, when those situations comes, that is happening, you are that role or whatever, right? But you as such remain. So that conscious entity is ever untouched. Even if you have an experience or a vision or a spiritual kind of a nice uplifting feeling, you might have this overwhelming sense or feel the sense of presence, but that you has to be there to experience that. And this you all through your life remains that same. If not, how would you say when you look back at a picture of you when you are like 10 years old, and you immediately say, that's me. So that sense of me, free from that identification with that roles and states we go through, that me, that I am, remains the same. So let us, if you want, join me in this small inquiry we will do together. Okay, just to get an experiential level of that. So the first step is, can you feel your breath? Most of you obviously can feel your breath, right? So one thing becomes clear. Now, if you're able to feel something or if you're able to see something, then that thing comes and goes, right? It doesn't stay, has you. So you, has this conscious entity, become conscious of the breath, but that conscious entity remains unchanged. And this conscious entity is what we call as that real subject, or that I, or in this case, what you are as your conscious entity. Let us look at it from this perspective, and the next step for that. Let us do the next step of this inquiry. Are you able to feel the sensations in your body? Anywhere. I mean, it doesn't have to be like all around at every point. Generally, you feel the sensations of your body, right? Do you have this experience of feeling the body? Well, if you do, then it's obvious that you are aware of your body. This notion that I am that body doesn't really have an essence, because you are different from that body, because unless you're different, you would not know that you are that body, right? We know of something which has to be objectified. Like I know of the river, the Ganga in front of me, the Himalayas in front of me. I know of the windows here. I know of the, of my own shawl. I know of my own glasses, which means that there is an I that is a knower of them, which is distinct from that which is known. Taking this another level, can you feel your thoughts right now, or your state of mind? Maybe you're intrigued, or you're confused, or you're bored. You are aware of that, right? Whatever is coursing through your mind, it's like that screen. Your screen is like that blank thing on which all this are coming. That screen as such is not what that is on it, right? You cannot say that this comedy movie is what that screen is, because the moment the projection stops, that screen remains. Now the next version of that is, can you feel the sense of me or I-ness? If you cannot, just think about this. Like, you can at any point of time raise your hand, right? Or you can at any point of time say out whatever you want to. So the sense of being the doer, the sense of self, which is this identified entity, you feel that, right? Now, again here, when you really feel that sense of self, does that mean that sense of doer is really what you are? No, because there are times where you don't have that strong sense of doership. There are times like, where you're almost like feeling sleepy, and you just kind of surrender to that feeling of sleepiness. Or there may be times where, you just kind of are acting based out of habits, and that you're not exerting your will all the time. Like say brushing brushing your teeth, or even eating your food. A lot of times, those are habitual things. You don't necessarily exercise a sense of doership there. Now, the last part of this exercise I want you to think is, how are you feeling right now? Are you feeling happy, sad? Is there anything in you that is aware of this? You will actually see this overall sense of whatever happiness that you experience is also experienced by an entity in you, right? Unless you're conscious, you're not aware of that. So whatever experiences we go through, we have to be conscious of this. So this is the common denominator. unless there is consciousness, there is no experience. Now, when we look at it from this perspective, we can actually take the next step. That if this consciousness is what is necessary for me to experience the world, I am aware of those things that is also conscious, and I'm aware of that which is not conscious, like a stone, or maybe like a like a brick somewhere, or any like a phone or a book. So those are not conscious entities. But then if somebody comes here, some human or some even an animal comes, I'm immediately aware that not only am I conscious of them, but they are also conscious of me. So what is happening here is that the conscious entity in me identifies the conscious entity there. But that conscious entity, in order to identify one another, has to be the same thing, without which identification would not happen. So not only am I need to be conscious to experience the world, but all the sense of consciousness is just this one thing. You want to say one is actually creating a certain kind of conflict here, because there cannot be anything else other than consciousness which experiences itself. Right? And this is what is the term Advaita means, that there is no other. Consciousness is all that there ever is. So when we understand this, then we realize that all these things that comes to us into our awareness day by day, they cannot kind of trap us, because we remain as the conscious entities, whether it's at the level of thoughts or experiences. We can just be the mere observer of this. And the more we do that, the more we realize that we are this conscious entity, the more freedom we realize. And this actually is the only freedom we have. And this is the ultimate freedom. Now, having given you this, I'm going to kind of give you a little bit more philosophical explanation, because unless you have that, it is not going to be able to translate to you in your daily life that much. So when we talk about this from this perspective, it doesn't mean that for whether day-to-day efforts that is put is not necessary. No, that is necessary to experience a certain degree of freedom. And I have another video which I have produced about that, which you can look at it. But just to give you a quick example, if you want to have certain freedom in your life, like such as you want to be able to travel, you want to be able to take care of your family, then you need money, right? Money is symbolic of that freedom that you can gain. So in order to get that money, you will make the efforts, you can work hard and you earn that money, and then using that money you experience a certain sense of freedom. Now let's take it another level. For a person who is actually struggling with some thoughts, emotions and all that, maybe they learn some techniques of meditation, mindfulness, and then they exercise that, like they make an effort on day-to-day basis. So their ability to quieten the mind increases. So they experience a greater degree of freedom there, right? Now the last one more example is like if you're going through some physical ailment, right? Like you would take some medicines, or you would engage in some breathing exercise, pranayama, yoga and other things, which will probably raise your health back to a level where you can again experience a sense of freedom. However, when you look at all these things, these are all conditional freedom, because even though you may have a healthy body, it doesn't mean that body will stay forever. Even though you may have a quiet mind, it doesn't mean that that mind will not have another thought come ever again, right? Or a troubling thought ever again come into your mind. And the same thing, like if you achieve a lot of material freedom, it doesn't mean that you will have it forever. It is subject to your environment, maybe the government or your whatever may also act and take away all your money. It's always subject to some conditional freedom. When we look at all this, then we begin to even more appreciate this ability to be free right here, right now. right? This ability to be free is right here, right now, when you can become conscious. When you realize that nature of you is untouched like that screen, then it's always there. Whether it's a cloudy day or an open day, that sky is always there. It's untouched. And that sky of awareness is us. This conscious entity is that screen. So becoming aware of this as our true nature gives us this instantaneous freedom. You can be free here, now, without taking refuge in any object. Just ask yourself one simple question from moment to moment. What is this conscious entity? What is my true nature? What is it that I'm conscious of all the time? This pulsating feeling of this awareness, this conscious being of me or I, has this pure consciousness. It's there with us all through. And this stays even through like your waking dream, deep sleep states, your whole life of childhood, adult, old age, sickness, it stays the same. And the more we get in touch with us, the more we realize we are free right here, right now. This in essence is the teachings of non-dualism, that it is free from this sense of subject-object, it is free from the same of cause and effect, so it is free from this aspect of time, space and object, identification, desha, kala, vastu. And this ekameva advitiyam, this I alone, or this consciousness is the only thing that ever is can also be realized at your micro level and at the macro level of this whole universe, or this whole notion of Jiva Jagat Ishvara. It's again, it comes back to this nature of consciousness. When we realize this, then we realize that we have this, we always were free. This whole this identification on a day-to-day level is actually based on the projection of the mind, or the sense of this ego identification. So with that, I hope it gives you some ability to find this inner freedom, experience this inner freedom, and to understand that the only kind of freedom we can really have, and the highest level of freedom, the ultimate level of freedom and unconditional free will is ever in us. It is ever within us. It is all what we truly are. All we have to do is realize it here and in the now. So thank you, and I hope it has been helpful. Namaste.